trunks, they ever ready. Assault and battery, if you scared, you never ready.
Alright, I'm here to talk about obviously the biggest news that's pretty much going on in wrestling over the past 24 hours, and that is the release of Kassius Ohno, aka Chris Hero, of ROH and independent fame. Quite surprised, to be quite honest, because he was one of the first guys well, not one of the first. Him and Antonio Cesaro got hired, I guess, at the same time. They had their tryout at the same time. But there was a little bit of a problem with Chris Hero getting his actual developmental deal. I remember him going back to ROH for 1 or 2 shows, and then pretty much from there he was in WWE in the developmental system. He debuted as Kassius Ohno, and then Antonio Cesaro was Claudio it feels so weird saying that now. Claudio Castagnoli was his name. Now everyone knows him as Cesaro or Antonio Cesaro, but yeah, his Claudio. When you think about how things change over the past 4 years. Chris Hero, Kassius Ohno, was released yesterday. They said it was during Friday. He was waiting to train and he was notified of his release. And on one hand, you know it's been coming for so long because the dirt sheets have been pretty much reporting it like for months now. I remember this. I listened to a podcast called MLW Radio. Features Court Bauer, who's a former WWE writer, my dog Conan, my main man Conan, and Mr. Saint Laurent, who is just an independent guy. You know, that's pretty much all he really is. But those three make a weird combination and leads to great radio, to be quite honest. And Court Bauer, he has some scoops, and he's been saying for months now that WWE is not high on Chris Hero because he's lazy. He won't get in the gym. He won't put more effort into his matches or whatever. And, you know, it's one thing when you look like Antonio Cesaro, where you're 6'3", 6'5", whatever he is, and he's ripped to a shred. This guy is defined to, like, definition as defined can be. But Chris Hero, he's that lanky guy. He doesn't have too much muscle mass on him, but he can work. You know, if you've seen some of his ROH stuff, especially him and Antonio Cesaro together, they both put on tremendous matches. It doesn't matter if they're on the top of the card or the bottom of the card. And, you know, just because the guy doesn't look like a Ryback does not mean that, you know, he's late. You know, it's the thing. That's what WWE has always been. It's always been the body business of everything. It's always been that one where if you don't have that muscle physique, you're not going to get far. And when you look at guys like CM Punk and Daniel Bryan, although Daniel Bryan does have a lot more mass than CM Punk, but Punk overcame, you know, you think about it this way. Bryan's been in the company since 2009, and in 4 years, you know, you think of what CM Punk has been, where CM Punk was 4 years into his career and where Daniel Bryan is in 4 years in his career. It's a big difference. It took Punk a long time to really get his spot and get noticed pretty much as one of the top baby faces or heels in that company. But Chris Hero, being that tall guy, lanky guy, not too much muscle mass, he pretty much looks like your average Joe kind of guy. He doesn't stick out in a crowd if minus his long hair and his long beard, but other than that, he's just really tall and he's pretty much skinny. He's a skinny dude. But all that aside, he was a great worker, I think, from what I've seen. I've seen some of his FCW stuff, but mostly his ROH stuff. From that, I don't see how how you can't see a guy like that in your company and how a guy like that can't represent you as a wrestling company. And, you know, you have Daniel Bryan and CM Punk feuding with the Wyatts right now. You know, you can always bring Hero. That's a perfect way to bring Chris Hero up. They need a third guy. And, you know, Punk knows a guy. You know, Chris Hero was featured in CM Punk's DVD for a whole chapter when they were talking about his Mid-South. Punk, there's a history between those two, so how hard is it to say, you know, Punk, we need a third guy. You know, Wyatts have taken out everyone on the current roster. I have to bring someone up who I know can get the job done, who I know as well, who I can trust. And that's how you bring Chris Hero onto the main roster, and I think he'll fit perfectly. The guy's been around forever, and I think, you know, just to get rid of him, you know, it doesn't make sense. You know, I don't know, because Chris Hero hasn't tweeted anything since the release. His last tweet was 23 hours ago, but he's already booked for an indie event on November 16th in New Jersey against Shane Helms. Daniel Bryan did the same thing. You never know. You can always see Hero back in the company within a few months, but they took him off the NXT, what do you call it? Their little opening segment thing I think that was reported a while back that Hero was taken off, and that was pretty much, I guess, the beginning of the end. It was only a matter of time where they would pull the plug, take him off the life support, and let him go. You know, I'm upset. I really, I was looking forward to it so much. You know, you had Cesaro on the main roster, you have Daniel Bryan, you have Dean Ambrose, you have Seth Rollins. These guys I remember watching in little gyms, and it's like now they're in main of, some of them are main eventing WrestleMania, they're headlining pay-per-views, champions on Raw. It's cool to see, and I think Hero was the only guy who never lived up to that potential everyone hoped in the WWE. Never say never, I guess. There's always that slight chance you could see him back, but as of right now, he's back on the indies, and I would assume ROH sometime in the near future if they pick him up. PWG, I'm sure he'll go back to at some point. But yeah, no more Kassius Ohno in the WWE. He is at his backup account, which is at the Chris Hero. And if you read the description, it's actually quite ironic where the you can have a little description for your account, and his is saving this page for a rainy day. Head over to at Kassius Ohno and give him a follow. I hear he's a real knockout. So that rainy day, I guess, has come, and soon enough, I guess he'll be tweeting. And there's already 1,700 followers on that account. I think there was like 900 when I first followed this morning. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next video.